Welcome everyone to the Proven Knowledge Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony Church. I'm a music producer from Northeast Ohio. I began this weekly interview series to give you different perspectives on how to approach a career in the field from different artists, producers, engineers, and other great minds who share their stories on not only what's made them succeed, but also what has shaped them into the people that they are today. I hope you gain some real proven knowledge from the show, and that it helps elevate you in your endeavors on your own journey towards success as well. Let's get into it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 168 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creators Series. Today I welcomed an artist from Lansing, Michigan. Her name is J.Plantana. I connected with her at the beginning of this year. She was actually a part of the second annual Women's Appreciation Month. We got to touch on that a little bit in this episode, and I also got to know more about her beginnings, and her love for hip-hop, how she got into that, her love for diverse styles and combining those. She talked about some of her collaborators that she's worked with on her most recent EP called New Demeanor, and the people she's working with on her next album coming up. You know, the things she does to help balance her creative life with school and with her job and all her other things she has going on as well. I think, just her trajectory is super high, and just being able to continue to push the boundaries of her sound and what she does and connecting with the right people was a big theme of this episode as well, something we can all take and learn from. So as always, I hope you guys enjoy this one, and without further ado, let's get into it. Welcome everyone to episode 168 here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. This is the Creators Series, and today we have an amazing artist out of Michigan. I actually connected with her at the beginning of this year. She was a part of the second annual Proven Knowledge Women's Appreciation Month. Everyone give it up for J.Plantana. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know we've been talking about this for a couple months, and I'm happy to have you on. And like you said, I think this is kind of our first official chat, face-to-face type deal. So, I'll get to know more about you as well today, I think. And to start off every episode, we have the guest give some background. How did you get into music? How long have you been doing it? Just some basic info for those that might not know you and what you do.
For sure, yeah. Well, my name is J.Plantana. I live in Michigan right now. I'm in the Lansing area. I have been doing music since I was in high school. I'd say mid-high school, sophomore year, I started listening to hip-hop more than I used to, and I kind of realized that it was just something that I really enjoyed doing. And over time, I just kind of, really perfected my skills. Didn't really release a lot of music until somewhat recently. I shouldn't say perfected, but improved upon my skills. And I'd say it was 2 years ago that I released a couple of singles, and I started kind of getting more into it. So I have one album out right now, one EP, I think about 2 singles, and I have an album on the way. So yeah, I do kind of more alternative hip-hop, so anything that's sort of on the more unique side is what people tend to say my music is.
Yeah.
But I'll do just about anything. So I'd like to think that I'm pretty versatile.
Yeah, well, that's super awesome, and I'm glad to hear that things have definitely been kind of being more consistent as of late as well. And I knew that. I feel like I heard one of your songs. I forget which one it was. That's kind of how I discovered you and reached out, and I'm glad we got connected in the first place. And I definitely was always intrigued to know, for you, who are some of your influences? Because like you said, you're into hip hop, you're more into a lot of diverse sounds and styles. So maybe when you were growing up or even nowadays, who do you think has inspired you to want to be an artist?
Yeah, no, that's a great, that's a great question. I didn't really listen to a lot of hip hop growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I did listen to some music here and there, but it just never was something I considered very much until I got older, and I guess I just I think part of the reason why I didn't listen to a lot of music is because I didn't have streaming services, and I guess I was just lazy.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't grow up around a lot of music playing that I liked, so I just never really, I was whatever, I wasn't super musical. Got older, got really into music, just listening to it in general. But I do come from a musical family. I have 2 cousins in the music industry, and my dad does music for church, and my grandma also did church music and other sorts of music as well. So they've probably influenced me in ways that I can't really remember or imagine. Maybe some sort of genetic component. But in terms of when I got older and started actually listening to hip hop more, some of my first influences were, my first influence was Rich Brian. who I sound nothing like him. But for some reason, I first heard him and was like, I know that this is what I want to do now. Like, this is cool.
Yeah.
I can see myself having maybe even a lyrical style that's similar to him. And then, like, Brockhampton, I think, was next, just because that was huge back in, like, 2018. I mean, they were, like, everything. I mean, it was more like 2019, but that I knew them. But Lupe Fiasco, Kendrick Lamar. I'd like to think Flo Milli is an influence, but unfortunately, I don't know if I have the amount of, I don't know how to explain it, but she I think she's a lot better than me. But I'd like to think she's an influence.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's definitely a few others. Those are some of my main ones. Oh, Bean Zeno, he's a Korean rapper. And I mean, his last two projects, I was floored by how much I was like, dang, like I would use all these beats. Like they're great. So, yeah, those are some of my main influences there.
That's super awesome. And it's cool to kind of look at our influences as people that kind of we took a little bit from and then we made our own thing. You know what I mean? It's kind of cool to kind of look at those people and be like, you know, they inspired me to do what I'm doing. And for you, you know, to have those people, that's super awesome. And even to have people in your family, like you said, that kind of have done it before or are still doing it. That's super awesome too. So did they ever give you like pushback on like doing music or like any advice or anything? Like, did you ever get any tips from anyone?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there.
No, you're good.
It's funny actually, when I showed my dad my music, I was like very secretive about it for a while, but my mom actually overheard me rehearsing a song, and she thought it was really cool, which I didn't really expect. But which I don't know why I didn't expect it. I guess like I didn't know how she would feel since it is a more masculine genre. But I think these days that's changed a lot. And so I think that, like, you know, it's more, like, I guess, acceptable for women to be rappers. Or she just was like, yeah, no, it's cool either way, you know? But I showed my dad the music of my song, and he was saying, like, I would have done the exact same thing you would have been doing. Like, I would have been rapping if I had the technology. I just, like, didn't. Like, he had a drum machine, but he didn't really, like... And he wrote, like, fun raps, like, for, like, parties. But he wasn't, like, I guess, doing it seriously. But he was saying, like, yeah, like, I would have been if I had the, you know, like... software to record and whatnot. So I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, not a lot of pushback, but I'm still kind of like relatively secret about it just because, I don't know, I don't want to have to like explain it to extended family who might, you know, not really understand it. And I know that's a little cowardly of me, but I don't, you know, I don't see a lot of my family very often, so I just kind of, you know, until it becomes like a big thing, you know, if it ever does, then I'll say something, you know. And it'd be a fun surprise to be like, yeah, I've been doing this for like, I don't know, 5 years and you had no idea, or like 10 years. But I don't know. You
kind of got to let them like find out for themselves too. You know what I mean? In a way.
I feel like that'd be so much more fun.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like I feel like music is such a personal thing too, where it's like we don't always get into it because of other people. Or you know, you want to get into it because it's something just for you that you can do by yourself, maybe even, and not have to get approval from anyone. So it's really like you don't even have to do that if you don't want to. And I agree with that because I feel that in my own family as well. It's just like I don't really like tell people a lot of the things I'm doing. I kind of just am like, if they find out, whatever. But I'm just gonna do it because it's my thing and I enjoy it. So I definitely think that's like the way to go as well, and just see how that, you know, prospers over time. But as far as like when you started getting more consistent, what do you think was like, let's say a challenge you had to overcome, or maybe just getting the confidence to put yourself out there? Was that ever an issue for you think?
I mean, I forgot to name another influence. My close friend Avery Gray is what she goes by on Spotify. Hasn't made music in a while, unfortunately. She's, you know, got a real job now. But she did a lot of open mics and a lot of performances when we were in high school. And that really inspired me. Like, I don't think it was as hard for me to put myself out there because I, you know, all throughout high school would come with her to these shows and, like, see how she would warm up and how people would respond and, like, how she'd engage a crowd. And she's very different in terms of her genre. She does like indie, sort of venture pop kind of stuff. Really great, by the way. Highly recommend listening to her. But she was able to, you know, get some momentum going in our little, you know, Detroit suburb. You know, a little bit of momentum there. So I think I kind of knew, like, the nerves was all I really had to get over. I think I kind of knew how to get myself into those circles a bit, at least. So, but I mean, it was hard originally. I think the main thing, it was just like, what are people going to think? Because I don't look like your typical rapper. And I guess I just like, I don't know. I mean, I don't think cognitively that's a problem, but, you know, emotion wise, it's kind of hard to separate yourself from those sort of, generalizations that people might make about hip hop. And I mean, in general, like, I get why they'd look at like some random white girl and be like, she's not gonna be great. Like, I get why they think that. I don't agree with it, but you know. So I think I prepared for that, and I still prepare for that, and I don't know. It's been okay, but it was a little hard, but like, I don't know. It wasn't horrible.
I know you talked, because I know, like I said, you were part of the Women's Appreciation Month this year, and you filmed a very great video that I really appreciate you once again for, participating in that and giving your voice out there to people, for people to hear your story in that way. And I know one thing you mentioned was the fact that, as a woman and just being in hip hop and being in the spaces where it's a lot more male dominated, you felt, there were some things that needed changed as well in that space too. So can you just touch on that a little bit? Have you seen anything kind of change even in the last few months, maybe local events, things like that, or just anything you want to shed light on as far as that goes, and, how you think it's going to be moving forward as well? Because I agree with what you said earlier. I think a lot more women are becoming rappers or putting themselves out there, not being as afraid as they used to be to do it and showing their real talents. So, can you just speak on that a little bit? Because I thought that was super interesting when you brought it up in the video as well and touched on that.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, definitely. There's definitely a lot there. I think the main thing is just general, like, condescending attitudes, and also general, like, flirtations when they're sort of unwarranted. Mm-hmm. Obviously, like, if you're genuinely into me, like, I don't mind. Like, that's not, but it feels, especially when you're the only woman in a room, you can feel a little unsafe, because sure, this man flirting with me, what if he has bad intentions and all these other guys don't care or, like, encourage him to do that? You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it's just sort of that main anxiety of, like, do I know if anybody else has my back? Mm-hmm. But I know that's changed a bit in terms of, like, I've been able to find the right people to really be around. There was this one event coordinator in Lansing that I cut ties with because he was creepy to other women. And you just can't take chances, even if it hasn't happened to you. Mm-hmm. I mean, not only is it insulting to the people that it happened to if you keep associating with that person, but also, like, if it happened to them, it can happen to you. Yeah. Like, you're not an exception, really. And so I think just really, like, making sure your circles, you're associating with people who at least are not, like, even if they're flirting with you a bit, like, if they're not being super creepy, like, to an extent, that's what I've learned at least. It's like, whatever, you just kind of roll with it. Like, you just don't talk to them very often,
Mm-hmm.
Exchange your greetings here and there, and just don't be in a room alone with that sort of person. So yeah, I mean, it's gotten better a little bit, but I think I don't really know what people are thinking on the inside. I've in Lansing particularly, that's really all I've been performing in, but I've had great responses. People are really supportive if people think, like, it's cool what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I guess good hip hop really doesn't know any labels, and people are able to see that, which is really awesome. So yeah, I mean, it's been pretty good so far.
Yeah, that's super awesome, and I definitely like that about surrounding yourself with the right people as well, and just kind of taking everything case by case scenarios too. And you're right, because we really can't get in people's heads. I don't want to be in people's heads. I don't want to know what most of these people are thinking, but I agree with that. You just show up, you be professional, you do what you got to do, and just move on to the next thing. And I definitely, like I said, I appreciate you for sharing that as well, even in the post, because I think that was super great. And that meant a lot, I think, for you too, to be able to put that out there like that and share it in that format. So once again, thank you for sharing that once again and bringing that up, because I think it's super important.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's important to talk about. Yeah. I think some people try to shy away from it because they don't want to make it look like they're insulting people or make people mad. But I mean, it's just something that happens. Yeah. It's worth to mention, even if it makes some people angry.
Exactly. Hey, hope you're enjoying the episode so far. I just wanted to take a quick minute out to let you know how you can become a monthly supporter of the show. So if you click on the show description in your podcast platform, you'll see the words "support this podcast" toward the bottom, and you can follow that link to sign up. You have the options of donating $1, $5, or $10 a month, and that'll be used towards making the show a better experience for you as the listener. That means new and exciting guests, giveaways, and a lot more that we can continue to provide for you. So feel free to click that link and check it out, or visit anchor.fm/proven knowledge/support to contribute today. And for now, let's get back into the episode. And definitely, I want to shift to the music as well here. And I definitely want to talk about your most recent EP, which is called New Demeanor. So definitely, give me some background on that. How did that come together? The stories behind it. Was it kind of just you wanted to put some tracks out there as a little project for people, or was there a deeper meaning that kind of went into the conception of the project?
Well, I think the first one's more accurate. I knew that I was going to be into album mode as soon as I could, as soon as my school semester ended. But, I like the songs that are on there for the most part. I think some of them I'm like, I could have been better. But, I wouldn't say there's a huge deeper meaning. I think the main reason why I called it New Demeanor is because I'm trying to show that I have, I can change up my attitude a little bit. Better Upset was not necessarily somber, but was more heavy, and it definitely had its own certain style. And for reference, Better Upset, it's my first mixtape, only mixtape out right now. And that was had more of a theme, was more serious, was more abstract in a way, followed a bit of a metaphor. So I wanted something that shows that I could just kind of switch it up. And yeah, it was cool because I wanted to see what people were vibing with in terms of the four things there. So they're all very different songs, and I wanted to see which ones people are rocking with more, which ones are people are I don't really like this, or I just wanted to really get a sense of what's going on there. And out of the four songs, I've definitely noticed the Anti-Lovesick has gotten the most attention. People really, really like that one, and I get why. It's fun, it's upbeat. I think I do really well with that style, and I'm learning that that's definitely something I should stick to a bit more from now on. So yeah, it's been good. It's really it was an experiment, but it was a necessary one.
Yeah. Are there any collaborators that you worked on with, probably producers or even other artists that you want to shout out? Maybe people that were on the project, or just people that you've been working with recently as well?
Yeah. Well, there is a beat maker. He's on BeatStars named Sasbo, Sasbo, and he did two of the beats on there. There's a guy named Tony C. I bought all my beats just because, I'm really good at digging through BeatStars and finding some hidden gems. And there was someone else as well. Oh, Foremost, the number 4 and then MOST. He is also really, really good producer. So all those people I've been pulling stuff from. And recently I've been working with a guy in Lansing named Sean Mike. He does a lot of shows around here. I've done 2 shows by him. We worked on a song together, and that should be out, I don't know when, probably in a while, but I've been working with him lately. Another Lansing guy named The Player, he's pretty awesome. Hopefully I'll be able to work with some, female rappers around here, maybe not on this project, but, sometime in the future. And someone I actually met at a festival I performed at Fledge Fest, Blue Rivers, I believe is what he goes by. So yeah, that's kind of the main deal. I might put 1 or 2 of my friends who make music on the album as well that I'm working on right now. So yeah, I'd say that's kind of the main lineup.
Yeah, super exciting. I'm gonna have to check some of those people out as well and give their catalog a listen too. I always love hearing who artists are working with, who they're connecting with as well, and it's great to build that community too and have those collaborators to have in your arsenal too. So that's super great to hear. And other than music, or even maybe to just fuel music, what do you think you've been doing? Hobbies, just living life in general. What do you do on the day-to-day to kind of refuel the tank a little bit?
I am a student. I'm obviously not trying to toot my horn too much, but I'm graduating early next semester. I'm in the honors college. I got a minor, so I've been school takes up a lot of my time when when it is in session. Right now, I am working 3 days a week, an internship, but I'm also doing, obviously I'm doing a lot of music stuff, also taking a class. Believe it or not that much. It hasn't been as bad as it sounds. I've been able to find some free time.
Yeah.
I've recently gotten heavy. Everybody has the Minecraft phases. You play Minecraft for a year straight, and then you kind of just take a break, and then you pick it up 5 years later. So my friend made a realm, and I'm building my house and all that. So. Yeah, but I'd say music is honestly the main way I sort of refuel, because for now it's more of a side thing. It's my main side thing, no question. But it's my I'd say that's my main. Yeah. But I feel like it's more than a hobby, because it's not something I could easily give up at all.
It's good to find the balance too. You know what I mean? I think balance kind of has its own definition for every one of us, because we all have different things going on in our lives too. And I think it always adjusts, because I think the more, I've noticed this myself, is like the older I get, there's more to balance, but it also kind of becomes easier a little bit. So you kind of just got to like place everything where it is and just figure it out. But it's good to hear that for you, you know, despite all that, you still got a pretty good balance going on and everything's kind of going well. And congrats on school as well, 'cause that's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you.
So yeah, that's super awesome.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Super
It's
awesome.
going to be really interesting to have like my weekends and like no homework or anything. I can just like do what I
Yeah,
want.
you might not know what to do. You're gonna be like, I had all this work. Like,
I know,
where'd it go?
yeah. And I
Yeah.
better do music. I hope I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm tired from the week.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just going to sit here, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, that's super awesome. Last few questions here, and these are ones I ask on every single episode. The first one is, if you could go back 10 years ago, maybe give yourself a piece of advice, or maybe not change anything at all, what do you think you would do?
10 years ago, so I would have been 11 years old. I probably wouldn't have changed anything. You know, I probably would have reassured myself that things are going to be okay. I am actually dating someone who I think I had a crush on when I was 11, which is really funny. We disconnected and reconnected like recently. So I'd probably tell myself, like, you know, I wouldn't want to know that I get together with them in the future, but just like maybe hint at it a little bit. And I don't know. What else? I don't know. I guess I'd probably just reassure myself and also tell me that I had OCD. I wish I knew that earlier. Just so that I can get a jump on that.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, no, not really. I think, you know, I think it was good that I didn't have the knowledge I had, or else I wouldn't be where I am right now. So
just letting everything kind of fall into place as it's supposed to. Yeah. Love that. And if we flip that then and we say 10 years from now, where do you think you envision yourself in music, in life, all that?
I mean, I have no idea. Ideally, you know, I want, you know, so I don't want to be like extremely mega famous, at least, you know, not in the very near future, but to have like a dedicated fan base, you know, one that I'm still recognizable and can hopefully live off of. If I need to work a side job, you know, maybe something in media or in like a nonprofit I really care about, something to where like I guess they're tolerant of my music, you know, it's flexible possibly. So yeah, that would be really cool. Just doing stuff that I'm passionate about, and I'm able to get some money from it as well. Yeah, I hopefully, you know, I don't know where I'll end up. I really hope it's in a big city. I'm a big city person, so I'm in a city now, but it's like a smaller one, and I'm already like, I gotta go.
Yeah,
you know?
I was gonna say I didn't think you were talking about Detroit, but I was like, who knows?
I mean, it could be. Like Detroit's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm right now in I'm in East Lansing, which is Lansing's capital of Michigan, and East Lansing's like right outside of it. And I mean, it's nice, don't get me wrong, and I can still walk to some things, but I visited New York City, and I'm just like, you know, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And that might be a little bit out of the question, but I mean, even Detroit, I mean, that would be pretty sick. Or like Ferndale, which is outside of Detroit, cheaper car insurance, that might be the thing. But not to get into the details of all that, but nonetheless, I hope I'm in a city.
Yeah.
So.
And I definitely think just, you know, keep working, and you never know where it'll go, because you know, you
Very
really don't know.
true.
You look back 5 years ago, you're like, I never thought I'd be in this position, so you never know what another 5 to 10 years could get. So definitely.
I mean, my dad grew up in LA, and he ended up in Michigan, in suburban Michigan, and he was like, what?
You probably would have never thought that.
He was living like on the marina in like in LA, and then he's like, now he's in like some colonial and like a suburb. It's hilarious. But I mean, it's, you know, it worked out for him very well. But it's just like, I guess you'll never know. You're very right.
Life always takes the necessary turns. We kind of just got to trust the process for sure. And do you have anything coming up that you want to kind of highlight, maybe about the album? Like, what can you reveal? Are you doing tour dates? Anything we got coming up that we should be on the lookout for?
Oh, I wish.
Shows, either one. They're all, you know, all that stuff.
Hey, you never know. I mean, that would be cool. Maybe one day. But I do local shows around Lansing, and I do actually have one on Saturday. So if for some reason anybody's listening lives in mid-Michigan or can get to mid-Michigan by 2 p.m. on Saturday, I mean, you know, pull up. I'm going to be at Ranny Park. This probably won't be released by then. But that's fine.
It won't. But they'll if they heard it, they'll be like, "Oh, I was at the show. I was there."
Oh,
that's right.
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true. But yeah, it's at a skate park, so it's gonna be really fun. And what else? Okay, yeah. So for the album, it's going to be a bit of a concept album. So sort of like Better Upset, but to a higher degree. It's a bit convoluted, but I'm going to have a track that explains it, sort of like at the end maybe. And the main premise, and I won't go too deep into the details, but it kind of involves the conflict between wanting to help the world versus wanting to escape it because of how much it sucks sometimes. And so I don't mean escape it in like a literal way. I mean in like a, escapism tactics, like, partying or like living large and ignoring sort of what's going on underneath per se. And so it's gonna be a pretty lengthy album. I'm working on it right now. I've recorded a couple tracks, mostly still in the writing stages. Also mostly beats that I found online. I've really found some gems again. And I'm really excited to have that out. Hopefully it'll be end of fall I can have it out. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, definitely excited to hear it because the theme intrigues me. That's the way you explained it. I'm like, oh, okay, now I'm intrigued to listen. So I'm excited.
Oh, good.
For that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everyone who I've explained it to it seems like they're like, whoa, yeah. I even think about that too sometimes. So I'm like, well, concept
albums in general. I'm all on board with that. So definitely early congrats on that as well. Because that's super great. And do you have any final words of wisdom today for the listeners?
I don't want to do something corny and like basic, like be yourself. So I gotta think real quick. Not saying that's like not true.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know.
I was gonna say it's still a good one, but
I guess I would say like you will be like finding a community that you belong to is like very important, and whoever you are, there is, whether it's online or in person, like there are people that exist that will accept you, and you just gotta kind of work sometimes to find it. But I mean, if you can, move out of your hometown, maybe try to go to some clubs or something and just like, if you can, just try to talk to people, and it helps a lot. Just getting out there and touching grass, as they say, it really does, just for everybody involved. So I found a great community in, my college town with my college friends, and also just like my music friends. And it's been really cool, but obviously make sure you're not getting mixed up with, bad people. But yeah, I think that's finding community is very essential, and I think everybody should really be working towards that if they haven't already.
Finding like-minded people for sure. I agree with you on that. No question. Not just anybody, but I definitely appreciate that. And J.Plantana, once again, thank you so much for being here, for taking time out of your day to share some of your story. This was super awesome, and like I said, early congrats on the album, everything you got coming up, and we'll definitely have to do it again soon. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening, everybody. That was episode 168. We'll be back this time next week. As always, hit the support button on your podcast streaming platform if you'd like to send any funds. And feel free to leave us that 5-star rating if you enjoyed today's episode. So we'll see you then. Thanks, guys.